Good to have you on The Issue Is.
Thank you for having us.
All right, let's start with the big news of the week, which is President Trump's comments about foreign interference. This is what he said.
Do you want that kind of interference in our elections?
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it.
What do you think? I mean, was this wrong, what the president said?
It's not the answer I would have given, and there hasn't been a single Republican that has backed that answer. And I was watching Fox and Friends this morning. He's already walked it back, and he said, no, I would go to the FBI. It was an ill-advised thing to have said. The bottom line, though, is there's been a 2-year study to find out whether or not he committed any kind of collusion, and he didn't.
But isn't he basically advertising, even if I didn't collude before, I'm open to collusion now? I
don't think he is. It was an imprecise answer to an imprecise question. I'm sure he's thought about it again, and he'd give a different answer now.
What was imprecise about it, Hasan?
I can't wait 2 years later down the line in the aftermath of the election when we find out that there was foreign interference or something like that. Republicans will turn around and point to this moment in time and go, well, he was just joking, which is what they did with the previous instances of Trump's misspeaking. Look, I'm not a big Russiagate hysteric, but it is without a doubt that Donald Trump is a corrupt person. He is morally reprehensible. He demonstrates his corruption in wildly transparent ways, and the American people seem to just laugh it up and take it in. So I don't know. It doesn't matter. He can say whatever he wants. He literally said that he could kill someone on Fifth Avenue, shoot them, and the American people would still vote for him, and he was right.
He was joking. And look, this is an imprecise speaker. He really is. Obama was a very precise speaker. His 3 major decisions, in my opinion, were all based upon falsehoods. The Obamacare decision, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. My mother, as she lay dying on her hospital bed in Hawaii, was suffering from having to fight with her insurance carriers. Turned out it wasn't true. The Iran deal was based upon a big lie, that there was a fight between moderate Ayatollahs and hardliner Ayatollahs, and the architect of that deal, Ben Rhodes, literally bragged to the New York Times that I lied about this. And the other one was when he pulled the troops out of Iraq and then later on blamed it on George W. Bush. Not true. He pulled them out because he wanted to, against the advice of his entire national security team. Now, why aren't people talking about those kinds of things?
Well, because Obama's not the president, because Donald Trump is currently the president. And the fact that you have to reach so far behind and talk about the lies that President Barack Obama told in the White House to justify the lies that Donald Trump is telling currently is kind of shocking to me.
Well,
I mean,
Hasan,
when Barack Obama fails...
I'm happy to explain why I refer to Obama.
Can I finish? When Barack Obama fails on the policy front when it comes to the ACA, which did not go far enough, I agree with you.
Didn't go far enough?
I absolutely criticize Barack Obama for that. I think we do need socialized medicine, Medicare for all. Perhaps could have been more helpful for your mother, and I'm sorry for your loss.
That's a whole nother debate. But let's go to the point that Hasan brought up. He said that the president is morally corrupt.
Right.
How do you respond to that?
And I have to go back to Barack Obama to justify what Donald Trump says. He says it's shocking. What I find shocking is the pass that people like my friend gives people like Obama. The reason I bring up these inconsistencies, the reason I bring up Hillary, for example, in the basement server, she got a pass for that, is to show the double standard, the selective outrage, and the hypocrisy on the part of people that are really angry about Donald Trump that gave Obama a pass for 8 years, fast and furious. He got a pass. He got a pass for the Bergdahl deal. Got a pass. He got a pass on Obamacare. Got a pass for all the misstatements, all the lies he made. But Donald Trump is a big liar. He's evil. It's double standard. It's hypocrisy.
Wait, why do you always point to the double standard when I already admitted that when Barack Obama does something wrong, I openly talk about it? Can you just elaborate on your personal opinion in this instance?
Sure.
Rather than trying to engage in whataboutisms and pointing out double standards? Because don't you think that that's a little disingenuous to go back to double standards when we're talking about Donald Trump, who's the president right now, and you have to draw from so far back, like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama? These people are not in positions of power.
We're not drawing back to the...
It's not okay. Two wrongs don't make a right, right?
We're not drawing back to the 17th century. We're drawing back to just a few years ago.
Okay.
And I'll just give you one example. Fast and Furious.
But to his Trump doesn't lie? Do you think Trump is not morally reprehensible? reprehensible?
Fast and Furious, Congress wanted Eric Holder to testify. He didn't show up. They found him in criminal contempt of Congress. 17 Democrats even voted in favor of criminal contempt for him, and no one's talking about that. But
wait, so you're saying the Democrats were holding him accountable then?
But when Donald Trump says that I exert executive privilege, oh my God, he's stonewalling. All the stuff that Obama did, he went after reporters.
Well, you just admitted that the Democrats were holding Eric Holder
17
accountable.
did. That's all.
Okay.
What about the rest of them?
How many are holding Trump accountable for all of the awful things that he's done?
To wrap this up real point.
All the awful things he's done.
To wrap this up real quickly, though, but he brings up the
economy's
point.
rocking and rolling.
If it was wrong when Obama did, is it wrong when Trump does it now? I mean, are they both wrong?
I'm talking about the fact that...
Why can't you say yes? That's really interesting, because I can say yes. Because Obama did awful things, but so is Trump, and Trump is doing even worse things. Why can't you admit that? Why can't conservatives ever admit when Trump is doing something wrong?
There was a 2-year and 2-month investigation, $25 million spent to find collusion, conspiracy, coordination. They didn't find anything.
Once again,
and he punted on obstruction of justice. And
once again, you're
this.
talking to a straw man, because I already told you that that's not my personal perspective at all. If you want to have a conversation with a lot of open-minded leftists like myself, we are out there. We're on the internet. We talk about our personal perspective.
If you were open-minded, you wouldn't be saying, "Oh, I don't want to hear about whataboutism. I don't want to hear about what Obama did. I don't want to hear about what Hillary did."
Because two wrongs don't make a right.
Of course you don't, because it makes you look like you're a phony and hypocrite.
I criticized Barack Obama throughout his entire presidency, and I criticized Hillary Clinton as well. I am not a hypocrite. You are afraid.
We're going to talk about another issue now,
Medicare for all. Are you kidding me?
Which is the
and you're a libertarian.
You
want government to control medicine?
Let's talk about another issue, which is
that's insane.
Which is the issue of the Democratic primary now. This week we found out who are the 20 candidates that are going to be making it up onto the debate stage. This is a list of all 20 of them. By the way, all of them that have come on the issue are on the debate stage. So just candidates, good idea to come on the show. Sadly, for the candidates that are goose eggs, Steve Bullock, Mike Gravel, Wayne Nessum, and Seth Moulton, none of them met the criteria. I know many of our viewers are crying over that.
They will be missed.
Mike Gravel is an entertaining guy.
Where do you guys see the state of the race? Because I think you both might agree on something. Neither of you like Joe Biden.
Well, I'm not a fan of any of them.
Yeah.
Me either, except for Bernie. Maybe
do you like Elizabeth Warren?
Maybe I'll vote for Elizabeth Warren, but it's definitely the second best
So if
option.
Joe Biden got the nomination and is running against President Trump, you would not vote for him?
I don't know. I've honestly considered moving up into the mountains and living an anarcho-primitivist lifestyle if Joe Biden becomes the Democratic nominee. I think Trump has a chance of defeating Joe Biden. But worse than that, even if Joe Biden wins, I think we go back to business as usual politics here in America. And next time around, it's not going to be Donald Trump. It's actually going to be an ideologically minded fascist, not a proto-fascist who kind of succeeded somehow and fooled Americans for long enough to get into a position of power, but an actual terrifying leader.
Oh, my goodness. There was just a poll in Gallup, and they looked at Donald Trump ideologically. 17% believed that he was too conservative. 18% thought George W. Bush was too conservative. 38% think that Donald Trump's views are just right. 36% thought George W.'s views were just right. 39% thought both of them were too conservative. So the people perceive Donald Trump and George W. Bush to be almost mirror images ideologically. But I hear all this stuff about Donald Trump has changed the Republican Party, turned it into a party of cult. It's not true. People perceive them to be ideologically identical.
I agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you. I think and we talked about this outside, Donald Trump is a perfectly sound Republican, but also George W. Bush was a war criminal. So I don't like George W. Bush either.
All right, let's take a break.
War criminal.
Let's take a break. Let's let everybody cool down a little bit.
Remember?
Up next, we're going to talk about another issue that brings people together, the issue of homelessness here in California. A lot to talk about on that. Larry Elder, Hasan Piker, when we come back.
This is one of my best friends.
Really?
The person who's singing the song.
Who's this?
Bryce Vine.
What's he like?
He's awesome. You want to have him on the show? I'll ask him.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You're not even dancing to his song.
Wait, that's crazy. Did you pick this for me?
Yeah.
Is this my song? Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that at all or no? You just like.
It isn't quite the California dream for far too many homeless people. The official count shows homelessness way up in many California counties. The question now, what to do about it? Back with our panel, talk show host and author Larry Elder, Hasan Piker of the Young Turks. Larry, let's start with you. I asked this question to Congresswoman Bass earlier. Is this a failure of liberal policies in California?
Yes, because part of the reason for the homelessness crisis is because of the lack of affordability. Leo Haney is an economist from UCLA. He estimates that because of zoning ordinances, NIMBYism, all the rules and regulations that they put on people that want to build housing, housing costs almost 50% higher than an audit cost. So that is a failure of liberal policies. But the other problem, of course, is that a lot of people who are homeless have mental problems, they have substance abuse problems, and throwing money at it is not going to help it. The government needs to get out of the way and allow churches and nonprofits to deal with this problem because government can't do it.
Okay. I agree. I think this is a problem of liberal capitalism, 100%. And I also agree with everything that Larry just said. I think the solution is to decommoditize housing as best as possible through a series of different programs. Rent control was something that was put forward. And unfortunately, private interests were so powerful that BlackRock, for example, spent, I believe, upwards of $14 million or $75 million in just lobbying and marketing efforts to make sure that rent control that did not happen in the state of California. They're not in California, they just own a bunch of houses. There are 100,000 empty homes in the San Francisco metro area alone. And there are, what, 59,000 homeless people? It doesn't seem like, I know what the solution to this problem is. I think we all know what the solution to the problem is, and yet we can't grasp our mind. We can't just say it.
What's the solution?
Giving homeless people houses. It sounds ridiculous, but there are empty houses and people dying in the streets. What's more important? Making sure that the property values are as high as possible, or making sure that our fellow Americans, young children who are going to college right now, trying to better themselves and trying to build a better future for America, living in their cars, living on the streets. What's more important?
Rent control and policies like that create a disincentive on the part of contractors to build housing. So if you really understood...
Oh, no, that's precisely what I mean.
If you really understood the problem, you'd be opposing rent control, not advocating.
I don't think rent control is a perfect solution. I think rent control is a Band-Aid, but it's a solution in the right direction.
No, it's not.
Because what did I say? I said decommoditizing housing is the main goal. Building public housing, building affordable housing in the short term with rent control, making it as unaffordable as possible on the landlords to own private properties so that housing, which I would regard as an inelastic, I would regard as having inelastic demand, which is a necessity for people to survive, shelter, right? Very important. Should be dealt with appropriately. But I also feel the same way about healthcare as well.
So you want government to displace private contractors?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. I think private contractors demonstrably are failing right now. We are seeing this. We're talking about homelessness. Why do you think this problem exists in California? It's affordability. People can't buy houses. And you're right about the mental health issue as well. Again, another thing where our government is failing us.
Larry, your defense for private contractors.
Well, if Hasan believes the problem with homelessness is because we don't have more rent control, I don't know what planet he's living on. New York has had rent control for a very long period of time. It destroyed their housing stock that they had before the Second World War.
It's not just rent control, Larry. Don't focus on that.
And the idea that I, as a contractor, should be barred from charging fair market value for my rent will create a disincentive for me to build more housing. And single-room occupancy also has been pretty much regulated out here in California. We ought to rethink that. So we ought to unleash the private sector, not constrain the private sector, as Hasan wants to do.
Here's what happens when you unleash the private sector. Sorry to cut you off. Airbnb, which is absolutely destroying the housing market as well. Because, hey, they're incentivized. That's what happens when you try to fix something with the profit motive. You have a bunch of homeless people, and then Larry sits here and says, why don't we just let the nonprofits take care of it? Well, the nonprofits are not going to take care of it. If we wanted to wait for people to be nice to one another, I don't think we would have gotten into this problem in the first place.
Let's talk about another issue. California passed a budget this week, over $200 billion. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of it was this health care for undocumented people under 26. They'll have access to Medicaid.
You mean illegal aliens?
Or depending on your perspective on what word you choose to use.
Wait, let me ask you. You said illegal aliens. Do you not think that they're human? They're human beings, right?
Is there a term called undocumented in the U.S. Title Code?
It doesn't matter. Are they human beings or not? I'm asking you a direct question.
It doesn't matter.
We're having. You want to have a conversation about
Well,
legality
why
or
ask me
whatnot?
some stupid question like that? No, they're gerbils. Of course they're human beings.
Oh, okay. So then that's fine. Then we should give them health care. There we go.
The question is, what should we call them? And the answer is, the precise name in the title code for people in the country illegally is illegal alien. Not undocumented. It's not in there.
Why are you trying to back into the legal conversation when we're trying to have a conversation around morality? Obviously, I understand how the law works. The law is also susceptible to changing. Now, let's have a conversation about the morality of whether or not we should be giving these people health care.
Well, let's ask the question, though, in terms of, because money is not, infinite. So
sure.
Sort of the choice for California taxpayers, when we have so many other problems, including homelessness for so many California residents, is this a good use of California taxpayer money to give it to pay for this?
Yes,
no,
absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. I think we should solve the homelessness problem as well, as I demonstrated in a few different ways, and how we can make it a little bit better and mitigate that problem. But we should also absolutely help the people that are here already, that are working in all facets of industry, that are contributing to taxes. I mean, these are just human beings. You can call them undocumented, or you can call them illegal, you can call them whatever you want, but these are human beings that are existing.
A bigger welcome mat for people to come here illegally. In California, already illegal aliens can drive cars legally. In California, an illegal alien can get in-state tuition, which somebody in Wisconsin born here can't get. It's outrageous.
Do you hear yourself, though? Like, you want to bar human beings from driving around?
Well,
just because they were born on another side of an imaginary border?
Here's the governor's perspective on this, because I asked him that same question, and he says, look, they're here anyways, they're going to the emergency room anyways, it's going to be more expensive to treat them in the emergency room, so we're better off giving them health care so then they can get preventative care. What do you say to that?
The answer is, you are creating incentives on the part of people to come here illegally, to come to California and take advantage.
Why not kill them?
And take advantage.
Why not kill them? Why not enslave them and put them in camps then?
Yeah.
No,
I'm serious.
This guy is a piece of cake.
No, this is a serious question. I mean, it's a serious question.
Because I don't use the term illegal alien. Are they human beings? Are they human beings?
No.
That's just ridiculous. You talk about straw men. You just did that.
That's a question that I'm directing to you. I'm not making a statement. Here's the difference. Here's
People
what I'm asking
should come to the country
How
legally.
far should we go?
People should come to the country legally.
How far should we go for those who are here already, though? Should we kill them? You said you're fine with not giving them cars. You're fine with barring them from driving. You're fine with barring them from access to health care. How far should we go? Should we put them in little camps?
We should
maybe ship them away?
We should not reward them for coming here illegally.
Okay.
I agree with President Donald Trump.
So how far do you think we should go?
May I answer the question? We should get rid of the bad hombres. Those who have done real serious crimes, they should be gotten rid of. And there are hundreds of thousands of people already that have deportation orders, and we haven't rounded them up and gotten them out. They ought to be gotten out.
Do you think everyone with a deportation order is a bad hombre, or do you think people are just getting deported at a higher rate now because Donald Trump wants to make it seem like he's doing something?
He's prioritized it, and if you walk down the street and you're an illegal alien, you cross the street illegally, you're not being deported. He's talking about bad hombres, and I like the way he's doing it.
All right, we're gonna have to leave it there. Before we go to break, though, we got to give a shout out to the Toronto Raptors and their #1 fan, Drake. And in NBA Finals, they'll be known for their injuries. They came out on top. As Drake would say, it was God's plan. God's plan. There we go. We have two special podcasts to tell you about this week. I'm sitting down for a special combo with Hasan Piker about growing up in Turkey, finding his progressive voice, and becoming the woke bae. We also have a special one-on-one with Larry Elder talking about his new book, his fascinating, complicated relationship with his dad, and why he is a conservative. You can download all of our past shows in podcast form and lots of digital extras. Just search for The Issue Is wherever you stream. Please subscribe and recommend to friends.